Hey everybody, this is John for MTG Nexus coming at you with some Izzet Phoenix this weekend, weekday, trying to get back on track with our normal streaming schedule after the last couple days being a little bit weird with some donation deck lists and a missed night streaming and a few other things, including a Pioneer Super Qualifier. So, coming back, working on Izzet Phoenix a little bit. This is the deck we started with last week. We're going back to the core of Arclight Phoenix before Arclight Phoenix was even a thing. Thing Ascension was pretty much the center point of those decks. And it centered around the use of Thing in the Ice as kind of a board control tool with Pyromancer's Ascension kind of being the real hammer of the deck in terms of like card advantage or your real engine to get going outside of the Thing in the Ice thing. And then that deck was typically a Jeskai deck with a small white splash for Lightning Helix. So what it tried to set up was bolts and Lightning Helixes to kind of control the game, and then toward the end of the game would switch over to, having one or two Pyromancer's Ascensions turned on and then just kind of bolt you out along with the Thing in the Ice plan. Arclight Phoenix kind of came along and picked up on that archetype and ran with things, and then people were trying different tertiary win cons, whether it be Aria Flame, whether it be Terramander, whether it be, these days you could even try something like Sprite Dragon. But I think going back to the core of what made Pyromancer's Ascension thing a good deck is a good starting point to try to revive this particular archetype, what was once the king of the modern format. Beyond that, obviously you're playing a suite of cantrips, you're playing a bunch of 4-ofs, try to help turn on your Pyromancer's Ascension, and then beyond that, you're playing a bit of a sideboard game of chicken if your opponent has Graveyard Hate, etc. You want to bring in things like Aria of Flame to kind of sidestep that. Beyond that, the card that really impressed last week was Noxious Grass, being able to put back a looting effect back on top of your deck in response to a cantrip, or anything like that, being able to kind of continue to churn through your deck, as well as being a basically non-conditional free spell. The only other three you can really consider playing in the format right now are Surgical Extraction, Force of Negation, and Gut Shot, and I think Noxious Revival kind of has the highest upside without being situational. Like Surgical Extraction is a good one, the format's kind of getting towards a Degenerate or Arclight Phoenix mirrors, etc. Gut Shot's good when there's a lot of really small creature decks running around. Force of Negation really doesn't work with what the deck's trying to do. Like, it's nice to play Protect the King, but this isn't necessarily a Protect the King kind of strategy. And I think I kind of lost sight of that, trying to play, clunkier versions. I think this was the one we started out with. We were trying to play, see a much higher curve here with Merchant of the Veil. That was fine, but like Crackling Drake, Ox of Aganos, these cards being really kind of situational in what you were trying to set up. And then your tertiary win cons were yet again more creatures. Maybe not where you want to be in the main deck. So that said, we are going back with the lean version. Also get to play the nice Gigantha of the Wellspring. This card really didn't come up in our last league, but it is nice to kind of get a shot in here, see how it does. And then sideboard, basically Ether Gust is pretty good in a lot of spots in the format right now. It's good against the Prowess decks, it's good against Primeval Titan decks, it's okay against Neobrand if you happen to live until turn 2. So overall, a reasonable card. Also can come in against a lot of the Urion decks because they're sporting, a lot of green cards, whether it be Uro or any of that kind of nonsense. 2 copies of Abrade. This is kind of your split additional anti-creature thing, along with more copies of Shatters against things like Chalice of the Void, which are still a thing. 4 copies of Mystical Dispute. This is pretty much the Yorion tech, but can come in against random decks like Storm, Ad Nauseam, etc. to kind of tag some of their stuff. 2 copies of Blood Moon. This was a staple of the card. Part of what made Izzet Phoenix good is that it was a pretty decent Blood Moon deck. Gives you some outs to decks like Tron and Amulet Field. 2 copies of Aria Flame. This is your sidestep plan for Graveyard Hate. So yeah, it really does. I kind of hope that we can at least get the deck back to some semblance of playability in the format, and I think this version offers the best, at least the hope of whatever versions I've played. Then 2 copies of Magmatic Sinkhole. The problem I have with Magmatic Sinkhole, especially in the sideboard, is the fact that people might be bringing in Graveyard Hate to fight the Arclight Phoenix Pyromancer's Ascension plan, and this is going counterintuitive to that, and it can have some tension with the Ascensions. But being able to tag Planeswalkers, being able to tag Tarmogoyfs and such, I think this is kind of a nice hedge card. I would play it in the main, but I don't think the main deck can really afford it right now. Maybe over the Lightning Axes, but I think I like Lightning Axe better for what it does. And finally, notable cards we're missing. We're not playing anything like Force of Negation. We're not playing anything like Anger of the Gods. Well, I think those cards are fine, and even in place of Anger, you could play, like, I don't know, Fire Spouts if you still want access to Gigantha. I think that the format is not in a place where you really want to be playing against too much creature hate, pretty much. So, that said, you know, I'm really wondering what is going on with whatchamacallit here, because the thing is saying I only have 1 concurrent viewer, yet there's clearly more people in chat. Don't know. Anywho, match number 1 on the play. Reveal Gigantha. Mess with our opponent a little bit. No lander, can't keep it. 1 lander, discard outlets, ability to rebuy another land if we have to. Keep. What are we pitching here? So the card with the most upside, but yet most downsides, Lightning Axe. So am I pitching that, or am I pitching something else? I feel with Lightning Axe we don't need Lightning Bolt, so I'm going to actually pitch Bolt. Though it may certainly be correct to, especially against the Lurrus deck, keep Bolt as well. This is one of the things that's like, I still own this deck in paper, so this isn't just like a random attention grab or anything. I really want to see this deck back in the format. It's really, I don't know how to describe it. Like, I feel like this version of the deck should be reasonable enough against a, okay, so land. I feel like I want both of these just in case. And obviously I can Noxious Revival back if I have to. What's up, Dame Chaos? How are you tonight? Obviously, turn 2, 1 Arclight Phoenix isn't that great, but at least it's a clock. So, oh, Boggles. Well, this is going to get awkward. So, I have no way to actually discard Phoenix right now. I know the top card of our library is a Another land that we don't necessarily want now. Huh. Boggles is the awkward one, isn't it? Especially without Thing in the Ice, it's really kind of awkward. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and pass here. Maybe our opponent will play a something like a whatchamacallit, the core that allows them to draw cards. Oop. I'm going to start with an opt here. See what we find. Putting that on the bottom, obviously. Searing Visions, certainly a card that I would have considered. Yeah. I want to find Thing in the Ice here, ideally. Alright, well, so we're going to be taking a lot of damage. So, pass turn. Don't know if these two arc lights are going to be able to race even this Glade covered scout if they don't draw anything else. Yeah, Ethereal Armor especially is going to be hard to beat. So I think in order to use the mana, I'm going to bolt here. And then Izzet Charm, hold priority, cast that on bolt. This way we're guaranteed to get back kind of the cards we want here. Or at least guarantee a... do these. So if they have anything else, we're basically dead next turn, so I'm not going to play around them having anything else. And I'm just going to go for... I don't even know if this even leads to victory next turn. 6 and then 6, so if we draw another bolt, they're just dead next turn, potentially. Yep, and we're dead. Alright. Yeah, basically without Thing in the Ice, this is a pretty miserable matchup, especially game number 1. Ascension, Phoenix. Oh, we would have gotten there anyway. Alright, so... not the best of matchups. Ether Gust comes in because it's just a random thing that can hit one of their things sometimes. And then Blood Moon, I guess, because they don't always think to play around it, especially on the play. Probably can go down the Lightning Axes. We're going to leave the Bolts in, even though they could be bringing in Leyline of Sanctity. It's kind of whatever. This is one of those matchups where it would pay to have Spell Pierce over Mystical Dispute in some number. So that's something I want to keep track of this league, is how many times we would rather have Spell Pierce than Mystical Dispute. And then other cards to go down. Aria Flame is too dangerous in the face of Leyline. And then feels like Chart of Course is kind of necessary this game. So maybe one, yeah. Maybe we'll just go down 2 bolts. Like, it feels likely that they're to bring in Leyline. I want to leave some number of answers into whatchamacallit, but Core Spirit Dancer. I'm having a terrible time with card names this week. Hands a Mulligan, Basic Mountain. You know, this is a hand. It's got magic cards. I think we put back Steam Vents. I'm going to go ahead and fetch up basic island here in case we happen to hit Blood Moon. Also preserves our life total a little bit. We're really looking for a Thing in the Ice is the card we really want to see here. Izzet Charm, Serum Visions. I think I'm interested in both of these. Am I interested in Opt, though? Yeah, I'm interested in Opt, because next turn we're going to be holding up Izzet Charm. And then if they don't do anything, we can just cast Opt instead. Also gives us a thing in case they try to play a naked Core Spirit Dancer. So what would you guys have kept on that particular sequence? I feel like it was correct to keep those cards. Sure. Yep, unsurprising, they have a Glide Cover Scout. Once again, it's possible I should be downing those cantrips, but the reason to keep the Serum Visions is if we happen to find a copy of Pyromancer's Ascension, it's a nice one to have access to. The second Charm, second Serum Visions. I'm just curious if anyone else has had any success with Phoenix. Seems like a deck that would be worth exploring in this meta, at least. Like, Burn's on the Recession. Obviously, Boggles isn't... It's not as bad of a matchup as, like, Burn versus Boggles, but it's still not great. Like, it's entirely reliant on finding the card... Do I care about this Umbra? Not really. The fact that our opponent is just playing so bloody slow is just kind of comical. It's like, you're playing one of the simplest decks in the format. There really isn't a whole lot to think about. Like, if I had a thing in the ice, it would be in play right now. I guess, I don't know. I guess it's easy for me to critique because, you know, I'm playing Izzet Phoenix. I'm familiar with the archetype. No, I'm not specifically waiting for Daybreak, but, like, Ethereal Armor as a follow-up there would have been so much more annoying. Gonna keep the Serum Visions on top that we knew about. Noxious Revival is a pretty nice one. Cast a Serum Visions. Well, we found a thing in the ice. They have path, they have path. You know, it's whatever. This is the card we want to see in the matchup, so if they brought in Path to Exile, they brought in Path to Exile. Or if they left it in, I should say. And there goes Thing in the Ice. Yep. Choosing not to fetch because I do want that... Pyromancer's Ascension on top. And unfortunately, they now get to cast Daybreak Coronet. And they're also being plenty mindful of oh, okay. We got the worst of... What's wrong, Untamed Chaos? It's whatever, you know. We gambled on some stuff, and it didn't pay off. You know, that play had the highest upside for us. If we're able to play and flip Thing in the Ice, then we get to put them on a pretty quick clock. Opponent. I don't know. Because it puts it out of range of any type of bolt effects we might have. So Ascension really doesn't do a whole lot here. Like, it's a whole lot of tire spinning. So maybe I should have just taken the path and tried for another... I either should have Noxious Revival, Backsteering Visions on top of my deck during their end step or during my upkeep. I guess it doesn't particularly matter here. I think there's a good chance we're pretty much dead here, unfortunately. Is that lethal? Feels like that's pretty close to lethal. That is lethal. Yeah, from previous experience, that matchup kind of comes down to thing in the ice or not. If you can do a quick thing in the ice flip, it's reasonable for Arclight Phoenix. If you can't, then it's pretty miserable. The only other cards that really are relevant in that matchup are things like Engineered Explosives, or Ether Gust kind of is, but not. So, it's kind of one of those, like, that's just a terrible matchup. That sounds interesting. Against another Luris deck. Well, depends on which version of Luris they're on. If they're on Burn, this hand's okay. If they're on Boggles again, not so good. If they're on Jund, I don't know too many of our hands are good against Jund. We're probably going to take Opt here. This particular hand's not very good against Jund. Take one of the things in the ice. Interesting. Pass turn. Holding up the option to Boulder Opt at the end of turn. Sure. I presume they're going to take Thing in the Ice here. Still not exactly sure what they're on. I'm guessing it's Jund or Rock Luris, but they take Opt. Why did their strategy suddenly change? They're just some style of zombie deck? So we don't want to mill them, so I guess we just mill ourselves. We had an Arclight. If we had a land drop or two, would be nice. Alright, so... how do we order this to get the maximum velocity out of our thing here? So with the bolt, I think we go ahead and bottom opt, keep arc light, and hope to get a little bit lucky here. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Obviously, they can't be playing even Vengevine or anything, so... don't have another discard spell. Okay, Bloodcast. Deal. Alright, so Arclight Phoenix. Gonna try to preserve our life total a little bit. Get an island. Metamorphosis. So we need to draw a land in 2 hits, or a Noxious Grasp. I think I like our odds, but if we brick here, we're in some trouble. God bless America. Sack the blood gas, get it back with a land. Yep. Sack it again, bring it back. Yeah, it very well might be a rally zombie deck, and if their last card's a rally, we're in some trouble. We just go for the kill here, right? Okay. Do you have a fatal push or something? Am I dead, friend? Or are we good? And what do we bring in against potential rally nonsense? Bring in these two. Bring in the 2 of braids. Maybe go down 2 copies of Ascension. And maybe 1 Ascension. Down 2 Ascensions. Chart a course. And a Noxious Grass maybe. So our life total might be under some amount of duress in this one. Yeah, we really don't have much for these, like, go-wide graveyard decks. We just kind of have to rely on Thing in the Ice and Bolts to be enough. But yeah, Rally definitely makes sense, and Dodell. Looks like they're just a kind of a Rally good stuff deck, similar to, or they're just a zombie good stuff deck, based around Luris. I'm just laughing because my stupid dashboard says I still only have 1 viewer. Gigantha. Do I keep this hand? Sure, I guess. Yeah, they just might be a value good stuff deck. Or value deck out of the graveyard. Stitcher Supplier gets to fill up the graveyard some, sure. 3 lands, okay. Good start, friend. Good start. I was going to lead on that for now. I don't know if there's too many creatures we want to kill here, but, you know, there might be something. Might have like a Crypt Breaker or something we just want to go, pew! No blocks. And ironically, even if they thought sees us here, we get to like... Alright. Sure. Sure. I know which one I'm killing. Gonna pitch one of these. I'm going to strongly guess that my Thing in the Ice is dying, but if it doesn't, this game's probably over. Because we just get to go cantrip and flip this Thing in the Ice. Okay. Okay. You're moving to attacks. So... I think I just block the... Stitcher Supplier, play around Collective Brutality. Lingering Souls. So y'all are literally just a value graveyard deck. I can respect it. Start by casting Thought Scour. So Serum Visions. Response to Serum Visions. Put Thought Scour back on top. Metamorphose, Metamorphose. Let's go on myself. Braiding a thing in the ice, and draw a bolt. The problem is they're going to get to generate a boatload of chump blockers. So, sure. Brought in Nihil Spellbomb. They have Unearth. Now they have a Gravecrawler in hand and one unknown. The unknown was one of the unknowns was a land. Yep. Sure. The only question is do I try to do anything pre-combat? Op's probably better than nothing here. Obviously, they just get a free chump block with their Stitcher Supplier here. You got Bolt for Luris. They may just get us because we don't find anything else. It's really hard to grind through all this, plus Luris. And one of the other 3 things in the ice is in the graveyard. They notably did bring in Nihil Spellbomb. This is a free attack for them regardless. Yeah, I actually forgot about that, so thanks for the reminder. Comes Luris Daddy. Thank you, and Adele. That was a great reminder. I wonder what they're going to bring back. Please don't be, sure. I'm honestly surprised they didn't bring back Carrion Feeder first. But, you know. Whatevs. Yeah, honestly, Gigantha hasn't been relevant up until this point, so I didn't even think about Gigantha, but that is kind of awesome. And the fact that we don't have to pay life to use this fetch land is magnificent. I have a 5/5 and a 7/8. What you got? We have a stocked graveyard over here, but, you know. They're going to pop the bomb. It's pretty bad when Hill Giant is relevant. Copter man. They've got their own copter man. So we start by casting opt. Hey, hello. We just gonna play this as a another threat. Guess they can double block Gigantha if they really want to. Sure. Nope, they're just gonna chump block thing. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Don't see a need to play a 6th land here. So I think I just hold the lands in hand in case we draw Izzet Charm. Opponent with a tremendous amount of patience with his Nihil Spell Bomb. Okay. So what does this mean? Lingering Souls? Feels like they got souls. Yep. Fetching. Okay. Wow. Wrath Exile. Interesting. A good chance we actually lose this game. No reason to play Aria right now. One's got souls in their bin. Sure. Hit us for 3. Stitcher Supplier, milling another souls. Alright, well. Guess we're on the Aria Flame. Hope we hit some spells playing. Feels like we're dead. Three, 6, 7. Feels like we're really dead, man. Wah, wah, wah. Oh, come on. Let me draw some cards. Alright, fine. Okie dokie. So... I think I'm fine with Pyromancer's Ascension if Nihil Spellbomb's their only graveyard hate piece. Braid's decent. A card like Anger of the Gods would be really great in these situations. Try like this. Keeping this hand. It's admittedly a bit of a gamble, but sure. A Bloodghast and a Deadweight in the graveyard. Okay. So, really need to draw a land here. Ding! Sure. Give a Path to Exile. Would be most unfortunate. Question is, do I put Thing in the Ice back on top of my deck? Yeah, Kozilek's Return makes sense, especially with wanting to be able to keep Giganta in the deck. That or Fire Spout has some synergy with not killing your Phoenixes. Seems like our opponent does not have a kill spell here. So why wouldn't you attack with Stitcher Supplier? There you go. I think I just block Supplier again. Maybe we play around Collective Brutality at the very least. Yep. Hey, sure enough, they have Collective Brutality. Okay. Okay. Do you have another land? They do. All right. Not great. We lost round one to Boggles, and then we're in game number 3 against this kind of zombie mid-range grind fest. We won game 1 pretty easily, but then, or actually it was kind of close. Game 2, we flipped a thing, wiped their board, but then they, I don't know. So I don't think I'm playing around another Collective Brutality here. So I'm just going to block the 2 Blood Gas, take whatever here, 4, 5, and then hope to stagger flip things and just kill them over a couple of turns. Yep. Oh, wait, 3, 4. So they might have another brutality here. Yep. Five. 4, 5, 6. 6. Let's put us to 3. So put us to 3. Don't think it's going to matter, but they miss lethal. Anywho. Unlikely to matter, but... All right. O2. Kind of frustrating because I really want this deck to work, but possible it's just not even the deck anymore, that it's just the meta is so hostile to this style of deck. I don't recall ever playing elves in a really, really, really long time. I think the last time I played elves was in a Legacy SCG Open like 6 or 7 years ago. Sand's fine. Needs land drops. No companion. I guess I'm putting back Bolt. Immediately drawing another lightning bolt. Okay. Land drops. Lightning Axe is interesting. I think I'm going to keep Lightning Axe on top just in case. hiding information. It's the shadow. Oh. Well. Interesting. Living End. Okay. They miss a land drop. Since they missed a land drop, I'm just going to play Thing in the Ice here. And then from then on out, we're pretty much going to hold up Izzet Charm. They Living End us here. Okay, they don't, fortunately. Come on in, pass the turn. Whoa, whoa. Sure. Let's do this. If they... Okay, there we go. Now we can just sit here and not cast spells for a little while. Sure. Awkward. So what are the odds we can go for the kill here? So annoying. I really hope they're not playing around Izzet Charm. It's like... So we have like Blood Moons for this matchup, and that's about it. They still might be able to pay for this, but, you know. Because they could have Simian Spirit Guide. Of course they do. At least they don't have haste. Now we just need to rip off like 4 spells in a row. Okie dokie. I think on the draw we can afford to bring in the Mystical Disputes. Lightning Bolts are kind of hot nonsense. And submit. Obviously they could have Fairy Macabre or Leyline of the Void. Hand's okay, not like spectacular. I mean, if I had a way to discard, I'd keep all 4 of those, but we don't, so. Go. Okay. It's kind of fairly ballsy. Guess if they have Simian Spirit Guide, Ricochet Trap, we lose. So do I play around a second demonic dread, or do I just start getting him dead? I think I just hold on Izzet Charm here. Like, I don't think they'd willingly do that unless they were planning on trying to brute force their way through things. And nothing we can do about that. I think we're on the Izzet Phoenix plan now. Hope they don't have Fairy Macabre. They have it, they have it. It's whatever here. Really? Oh. I was going to say, you really have a freaking... whatchamacallit here? I'm like... Okay. Put that back on top of their deck. That way it doesn't come in and immediately kill the thing in the ice. So now if we somehow hit a miracle here, we can wipe their board and potentially kill them. I don't think Ascension adds anything meaningful to this situation. Let me get this blood, man. Block 6. Take 6, 10, 13, 20 something. Alright, we'll try one more match. How's everyone doing tonight? Well, thank everybody for tuning in this evening. Hope everybody's having a great day, wherever you are. Appreciate y'all sitting through this, engaging in my kind of vanity project here. I think after this performance, though, I'm leaning towards putting it down for a little bit. This is a Luris deck. Okay. Keep it. Joy. Metamorphose, huh? Yield through the turn. Trigger. An opt on top. They're clearly putting this opt to the bottom. Drawing land. Okay. Taking 2 and liking it. Okay, looks like we're just up against standard burn. Yep. Alright. So we're on the ascension plane, but this isn't probably good enough here. Got the burn spell at the end of the turn. Yep. Alright, got lucky there. I wonder if they're on the... Well, so they drew a bolt, or they kept a bolt for Swift Spear? Guessing they drew this... I don't know. They drew one of the one-mana spells here. Pot Scour, sure. So if some way, somehow, there were 2 lands, could we win from here? 2 lands and then draw a land. I guess Thing in the Ice would facilitate that most. Alright, well, got a land. Surely I'm dead, right? Yeah, like, okay, the only card I could have there is Force of Negation, so. Okie dokie. Braids, Ether Gusts. Feels like that's already enough answers to creatures. Go down Noxious Revival that. Oakley dokley. Kind of appropriate that this project maybe gets buried by burn here. So I'm not, like I've said before, I'm not even completely sure that Faithless Looting would fix all the deck's problems. When you look at our league, Boggles is a matchup that's solely based largely on Thing in the Ice and Engineered Explosives at most, if you even had it in your sideboard, and then kind of hoping to punk them with something else one of the games, hoping they, like a Force of Negation, or they don't have Path to Exile or something. The zombie deck just, like, our deck doesn't really grind without Pyromancer's Ascension or Aria of Flame, and if you have a fistful of lands, you're just kind of sitting there twiddling your thumbs until you draw some cantrips. And then living in, you know, turn 2 Thing in the Ice. Good enough, I suppose. The Arid Mace is a little bit awkward, but we're not going to be casting anything on one anyway, so... Going to the main phase 2 stop. Sure. I mean, I likely get to flip Thing in the Ice on 3 here. Depends on how aggressively they want to go after Thing in the Ice. Eidolon would be pretty bad. Yep. I think we deal ourselves 8, deal them 7. Feels really bad. Maybe we'll get lucky and hit like a bolt or a lightning axe or something here. I guess I should have let on Serum Visions there over Thought Scour. Not particularly interested in either one of those. This is to 11. We're at a virtual 9. Aether Gust isn't a terrible card to have access to, I suppose. Wow, okay. Of course they have Path Exile, why wouldn't they? So, the only play line we have access to that is any type of sense, but basically leaves us dead to everything. Play Pyromancer's Ascension, Manamorphose. In response to Manamorphose, Noxious Revival, another Manamorphose on top. That will give us access to 2 Pyromancer triggers. They'll get us 1 card deeper. And give us an active Ascension. So 8. This puts us to 8. That's a 6. That's a 4. Don't know if there's any way we're living through another turn anyway, so. It's a desperate Hail Mary, but at least it gives us a hope, I suppose. So what am I even hoping to hit here? I guess this particular one doesn't matter. This one, however, trigger that, yes. Red, blue, I guess? Brick. So I'm not actually playing the last match. I'm getting paired and then conceding to my opponent. Thoughts on the deck? I'm frustrated. I'm annoyed with it. It's going on the shelf for a week or two. I think it's just a very yeah, without looting, it's really hard to mitigate the flood situations. Like, I could have cast Gigantha there. Doesn't really do a whole lot. We're still dead to a large number of the same things. We went for the tire spinning Hail Mary. Didn't work. couple of these Hail Marys, like against Tron last week, was amazing, but it's just... the format's not in a good spot for the deck. Like, I don't know that it'll ever be again, but, like... So this is primarily a Thing in the Ice deck. And... Thing in the Ice... Sure. Like I said, I was conceding the match to my opponent just to give them value. We obviously can't cash anymore. Finishing the final thoughts. So, I think this is the most functional version of the deck. However, I don't know that Google Ascension. So this is an old Thing Ascension list. And even it was running Faithless Looting, or this example list was running Faithless Looting. So, you know, deck was effectively trying to do a lot of the same things we were trying to do, only it was trying to leverage Pyromancer's Ascension to Helix and bolt your opponent out, was the primary so annoying, some of these ads sometimes. Just like a lot of the same game plan, but it had Faithless Looting. Like this was the precursor to this was the precursor to what became Arclight Phoenix. And it was also running Faithless Looting, so I really don't... Like, it's running the 4 Noxious Revival, the 4 Manamorphose, and then it's basically the same deck. This was the original Phoenix decks, basically. But it's just not functioning. Like, I've tried multiple different ways to build the deck. Even reaching back, I played like some Traverse mid-range package nonsense. Maybe in a week or two I can come back with a fresh perspective, but right now it's just like, nah. I think I got everybody's, well, at least my own hopes up a little bit last week with some fortunate draws and, you know, a couple misplays that maybe cost us a game or two. Yeah, it's just not there right now. Maybe it never will be again. I don't know. I'm just talking myself into circles. The fundamental game plan of the deck really needs something that can flash back from the graveyard. And Ox is too clanky. Haggle isn't good enough. Izzet Charm has functioned wonderfully, but in the end, once you flood out, you die. You don't have a whole lot to do with your mana. You know, you have to rely on chaining spells, and eventually you're going to hit a pocket of lands, and if you hit a pocket of lands, you're dead. That's pretty much all there is to it, unfortunately. So, I wish there was the more positive news in this, but we're gonna put down Izzet Phoenix for a week. I think I'll revisit it in 2 weeks, but I think we're setting it down for a week. So, anywho, thanks for everybody that's been tuning in through this banter and me attempting to revive this deck as much as possible. So, I really appreciate everybody hanging out. Be back tomorrow with some. I'm just gonna play some straight Boros Burn. I'm not in the mood to mess around right now. We've had a good run with some donation decks this week. We've had some bad runs between this deck and the Gigantha Disaster and the Super Qualifier yesterday. But I want to close the note on a pretty high week, or pretty high note, and I think we're gonna turn to Boros Burn to try to do that. So next week we'll get back to a little bit more of a regular schedule with some Shadow and some Jund in the mix. Hopefully get those fan bases going back again. But Arclight's going to be laid down for a week. We'll revisit it not next Thursday, but the following Thursday. But for now, I just need a little bit of a break from the deck. So, anywho, thanks everybody for hanging out. This has been John for MTG Nexus. I hope you guys have a great night. And by the way, I appreciate